Acknowledging and remembering that we are situated on the traditional land of the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people, and on the land on which enslaved African people and their descendants labored, we gather together in worship.
May what we do and what we say help us to make a fair and more beautiful future for all who live and work and worship in this place.
Well, thank goodness there is no fancy style at the welcome table, because I'm not sure I'm up for fancy style every day, but I know I'm up for community. I know I'm up for building a place where we all feel welcome, and welcome this morning, when the air has finally turned crisp and time carries us away forward with it. Welcome on this eve of Indigenous Peoples Day. Today, we are delighted to share the very first of this year's Spirit Sundays, a time when we worship as all ages together. We are all in it together today, people, whatever happens. Wiggly and worried, young and old in spirit or young at heart, whatever, wherever, however, whoever, you are welcome here. And since we are all worshiping together, we might all act and listen and share and move in a variety of different ways. And so today's service invites different forms of participation with our hands, our bodies, our feet, so we can move and engage in these themes. And so kids, like these kids and all y'all kids out there, if you think your adults are sitting still too much, be on the lookout for times in the service when you can wander around. It is that kind of Sunday. And so as we make a place in our hearts for gratitude, on land made sacred by all who lived and worked upon it before us and kept sacred by the courageous choices we can make today, I invite you as you choose, as you're willing and able in whatever darn way you are comfortable, to move around or stick to your seat, but offer your neighbors some kind of greeting to let them know it is a blessing to be together. Hello? 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 Abdisa? Warm greetings. Hadley? Hello? 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 Yo? Hello? 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 Sup? Sup? Oh, goodness. Ready? Let's say hello on 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. I don't know if you all heard your cue, but but the children's choir would like to sing again. And on this occasion, you are invited to sing with them, rise in body or spirit as you are moved to sing our hymn right here with this amazing team. There is a river flowing in my soul.
To recognize that we live on sacred land means to center gratitude. Gratitude for the land that we are on, gratitude for the earth that sustains us, and gratitude for one another. This morning, we'll all get opportunities to practice that gratitude here in this community.
You'll see throughout the room that there are 4 altars, almost on each side. And these altars represent the 4 elements of earth, air, fire, and water. So as we know in many traditions, the elements are recognized as the building blocks of life, and they're held as sacred.
But we need some help building our altars this morning. At each altar, you'll find a basket of objects that represent each element.
Now, here in a few moments, Cliff will play some music. And I want to invite the youngest among us to help us set this altar this morning. So each basket that are around the altars, you're welcome to come up while the music plays and find things in the basket and place them on the altar however you would like to do that, so that later on we'll all be able to do altar building together during the offertory. And remember, we have earth, air, fire, and water.
And as you're setting the table, perhaps think about what these objects do for the earth we live on, and also what these elements do for us. How fire keeps us warm, or water helps nourish plants. How trees give oxygen or air that makes it possible for us to live. Recognizing the beauty of earth that we live on helps us be grateful for it.
And also for the rest of us who are going to still be in our seats, remember, this is a moment to pause and consider these things as well. What elements bring you joy and strength? What are the memories that we all have with the different water and fire and earth and air in our lives? What is our connection to this planet, and what is our gratitude for it?
Later in the service, we'll all get a chance to move through the different altars. But for now, I invite those youngest among us to help us set the altars as we play the music.
To acknowledge means to accept or to admit the existence or truth of something. To remember is to bring to one's mind something we have known in the past. I wonder who among you has ever heard of a land acknowledgement, or read one, or tried to write one, or struggled with the very purpose of one. Our land acknowledgement here at River Road begins with those words, acknowledging and remembering. Acknowledging means to accept the existence of the truth of something. Remembering means to call to one's mind what we have known before. Acknowledging and remembering that we are situated in this place on the traditional land of the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway Kainai people, on land in which enslaved African people and their descendants labored. We gather together time after time in this place, acknowledging and remembering. And what else? I want to tell you a story about Russ Agard, who is a third grade teacher on native lands in Thunder Bay, Nova Scotia. Lands that, like so many other lands, including these, became in time dominated by colonial settler powers, lands on which the native peoples so often were driven away. Year by year, day by day, tier by tier. Russ Agard is a third grade teacher on those sacred lands. And one morning when he arrived in his classrooms, you all will understand this. You know how kids always have to bring a water bottle to school? So teacher, Mr. Agard, he walked up and he took one of the kids' water bottles. Imagine if I just stole your water. Like, he just took it. And then he came and he was holding it in the front of the classroom and he said, I would like to acknowledge that this is your water bottle, and in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to remind you that I know it is your water bottle and I hope there are no bad feelings. And then Mr. Agard took that water bottle, placed it upon his own desk, and tried to continue teaching the class. When he looked at his students and the blank stares in their eyes, when he looked at that little girl whose water bottle he had straight up stolen, he asked, "What's wrong?" And what do you think they said? I don't have a water bottle. They said, "I would really like my water bottle back." Apparently, the words of acknowledgement and repair without the action of reconciliation was not enough. And so the class had a real conversation. When we acknowledge and when we remember, when the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts are not matched by the actions of our hands and our feet, the relational power of building community with those descendant peoples who still know this place as home, when the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts are not matched by the actions of our hands, so too do we fail to see the next step. And so on this Indigenous Peoples Day, I lift up the acknowledgement and the remembrance and the action. Our land acknowledgement team here at River Road has been working hard for so long, not just to find the words, but to allocate the money, to build the relationships, to create the next steps, so that in this place we do not just know and remember that we stand on sacred and stolen land, but we live that commitment in astonishing and brave ways. So day by day, year by year, I invite us not merely to acknowledge, but to begin again in love. We come into this place weary and full of delight. Just this single morning, after our worship service and the new member book signing, we will celebrate nearly simultaneously the dedication of a new baby, Miss Inara Wilson, with her family, and the memorial service of Robert, known to his friends as Newt Neuter, right here in the sanctuary. Birth and death, new beginnings and loving endings crashing right up against one another, just as they do in our hearts. Knowing that you each come with your own joys and sorrows, that which you find words to speak aloud in that which dwells in the silent sanctuary of your hearts, I want to lift up today just an additional word of honor for Newt Neuter and his life. In addition to being such an important part of his community, Newt also was one of America's foremost collectors of indigenous textiles. And so we are blessed this day when we will gather to remember him, to also have key pieces from his collection and from his scholarship and work that help to bring the deep cultural significance of the incredible variety of indigenous textiles here in this country and throughout the world to light in new ways. For Newt Neuter, for all those people near at hand and now gone who have helped to create this place and who have brought their spirit of energy and of hope and of labor and commitment that brings all of our acknowledgments and remembrances into being in the world.
Good morning. I invite you now to a time of meditation. Please find a very comfortable way to sit. And if you're okay with it, close your eyes or have a downward gaze. Let's take a few deep breaths. Be aware of what is around you. Be aware of what you hear. Be aware of the very energy in this room. Feel your feet on the floor. As you are aware of your feet on the floor, maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. And while you're wiggling your toes a little bit, imagine that you are no longer wearing shoes and that your bare feet are resting upon the very soil of this land. As you imagine your feet touching the earth, let us walk back in time. Let us walk back to a time when there was no building here, to a time when there are no people anywhere to be seen. In your mind's eye, I ask you, what do you see? What do you hear? Now, let us travel forward from this long ago time to about 10,000 years ago. Imagine going out back and down that hill where you've seen a little stream flow. It's fed by spring water. Now see two young native girls walking along the stream. They're holding woven baskets. Their eyes scan the ground as they walk. See one of them pluck a small green plant and put it in her basket. Perhaps this plant can be used to help a person whose body has gotten too hot with a fever. Let's travel forward again, maybe to around what we call 1500 AD. Look here, right at this place on the top of the hill. There's a teenage boy holding a bow. He has strapped 2 or 3 arrows on his back. He has just come here from the village down the way by the banks of the Potomac River. This is a good place to hunt for deer. The teenage native boy is also scouting. He wants to make sure his people will be safe. Let us now walk forward again. It is now the year 1850. There's a larger house further up the hill behind you. The air smells of wheat, it smells of hay, and it smells of horses. And 100 feet away from where you sit, out the back, there's a very small one-room cabin. Look inside. There you'll see a young woman with beautiful dark skin. She's singing to a 4-month-old child she is holding in her arms. She stops singing sometimes to let out the cry. She prays to God that her child will be able to stay with her. She prays that Naylor won't someday sell her child to the highest bidder. She prays to God that her child will one day be free. Now let us walk even closer to the present. It's 1963. You see a group of people standing in a circle right here. One by one, several people take turns putting a spade into the ground and pulling up the brown earth. They know that there is some risk, but they are optimistic. Their hearts are full. They feel it in their bones that they are doing something very important. One day, there will be a beautiful building here, one day soon, and it will be much more than a building. It will be a whole new community of people who want to change the world for the better. Its name, at least for the time being, will be River Road Unitarian Church. Now we are here in the present, on this land. Many have gone before us. Let us listen to their whispers in the wind and give them thanks. Let us honor the ancestors of this land by doing what is right, by doing what is needed, and what will make the world better for those that will come after us. So ends the meditation.
This morning, as we honor, reflect, and recognize what it is that is sacred to each of us, we do it with this heart of deep gratitude. Gratitude for that spirit of life, that river that has flown and flowed through us each, connecting us over all of these years and leading us to that which is yet to come. Gratitude for this community and the way that we show up for each other in our joys and our sorrows, and the ways that we build the beloved community here and beyond. Our generosity in this congregation is an expression of our commitment, and giving is in and of itself a practice of gratitude and grace. During this time of offering, you're invited to move throughout the space, all of us. You can light a candle, you can hold a rock, you can pour some water. You can continue to set the altars that have already been set here for us. And you can give. You can give online, you can text to give, or you can give even in this space this morning. As the music plays, I invite you to continue building these altars and giving deeply from the places of generosity within each of our hearts. Please give as you're willing and able.
Words of blessing, adapted for this place, from This Is Our Home, but Not Just Ours, from the Reverend Laura Bogle. We have gathered to remember this is our home, but not just ours. This land we live on, this water we drink, this air we breathe, these hills and valleys are journeys over which steady us to the ground. These forests that burst forth in October flame, these flowers that give us their beauty and fragrance, these fields that give us this day our daily bread, these stars that show us the way, the wilderness and the backyards we like to imagine we have tamed, all of it our home. We remember the ancestors who have lived on this land, who have shaped it, the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway Canoe, the fishers in the eddies of the Potomac near George Washington's Mount Vernon, the lowland hunters of the Chesapeake Bay, who live still, a community not just of memory, but of living blood, of commitment and culture and power, on the land their ancestors trod. The enslaved persons and the freedom seekers, the people who held them in bondage, the farmers, the immigrants, the artists, the families, the explorers, the business people who subdivided this land, the engineers, the builders, the scientists, the teachers, the workers, the leaders, the high school students who make their way even now through these streets toward a gateway to a whole new world, so in need of learning and of service and of all that they will learn to lead. We inherit their choices. We honor them. We honor the animals and the creatures who have made their home on this land, the ones here now, the ones that used to be here, long run off, the great buck who sleeps beneath the trees just outside our sacred space and shows no fear of humans, which brings great fear to me. The rabbits who bound their way past our picture windows almost every Easter morning. The fox who tread over the art our children made and left as paving stones in the creek that has run behind this building in the same place since long before we imagined our existence for 1,000 years. We envision the future generations who will live on this land. We let their voices, their needs, their commitments fill our hearts and remind ourselves here and now that acknowledgement has never been enough. We are called indeed to action. We have gathered here to remember that this is our home, but it is not just ours. Amen. I want to thank our altar builders and our music makers. And I want to thank Cliff for finding a whole new gear of his calling as a leader of meditation and of wisdom. What we do happens because we do it together, and behind the scenes you may not have known that this week all of our tech went quite pear-shaped and all of our tech team did heroic things. So Dave Leonard, Tom, Hugh, Barbara, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Dave came in to work magic and fix it in the middle of the week. So thank you for every single one of us who does what we can, when we can, how we can. This place becomes real when we choose to shape it into something different than it was before. And if you'd like to be a part of shaping this place and its future, by your presence or by your leadership or by your shared worship, we invite you to join us in membership today after the service. We'll be right over there where we'll have the membership book open if you would like to join. It is between the earth altar and the water altar, which seems appropriate. We also have a social justice fair happening next Sunday during coffee hour right after the service, so you can find out more concrete information about how to get involved in the actions, the doing that come after the acknowledgement and the remembering. And next Saturday, the 15th, is our 30th annual Partner Fest celebration, in which we are raising money for our partner churches in Fiatfalva, Transylvania, and Mablung in Northwest India. It is a remarkable commitment that we have made over generations, and we will have not only professional world-class classical violin, but the amazing music of our own Dr. Shuai Wang. We are gathering for Partner Fest both in person. I will be here with my real live self, and I hope so many of you will, and we will also be live streaming it, and we hope to make it a real expression of our faithfulness. And finally, as our year of reset in our environmental commitments continues, you can help eliminate and stall and change the degradation of this environment by joining one of River Road's climate reset workshops. They're beginning just this month. They'll meet once a week for 4 weeks, and you'll learn about your own personal carbon footprint, but also what you can do to expand your activism in bigger ways. These workshops are intended to be fun and inspirational and inspire action, and you can actually see Bruce Davis, who is probably already out at there he is. You can see Bruce Davis after the service if you'd like more information. Today, also, our faith formation conversations. These are questions about, what does it mean to have a progressive, ever-changing, non-dogmatic faith? What does it mean to be forming that faith, not just for children and youth, but for all of us? And that little conversation is going to be huddling up in the back corner. And I encourage you also to engage with these altars as you are able in the moments after the service. And so, as we take these lights we have kindled, this inspiration that has filled our hearts out into the waiting world, may the truths that make us free, the love that casts out fear, and the hope that never dies guide us and those we love and those we do not love forward together till the day spring breaks and all the shadows flee away. Amen.